Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, in the wake of a violent weekend on St. Croix, Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter is saying enough is enough. Now, he's reaching out to the community through every medium. In fact, you'll be hearing more from him on the radio as he tries to encourage residents to go further in the fight against gun violence. News 2's April Knight has more.
Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter said it's going to take the entire community to end the rising violence in the Virgin Islands, and right now, that's what he's working on.
As Lieutenant Governor, it hurts me every day when I see this, and here I am, I'm Lieutenant Governor. What are you going to do about it? And that is always the question.
Moved by the bloody weekend on St. Croix, Potter said he's trying to bring together not just neighborhood organizations that are already out there engaging the community. He wants different churches and denominations in the mix as well.
I've held a couple meetings with pastors, and we are putting together an approach that would engage the churches, engage the pastors. If you're afraid to say something to the police or the law enforcement, say something to your pastor.
According to the Lieutenant Governor, at the current rate of reported homicides, the territory seems to have become numb to the violence. But he says now is especially the time for the community to galvanize around one goal, and that's to save the territory's young men. And the statistics on that are staggering.
22 individuals gone down by gunshot in St. Thomas so far this year. And of those, 16 are under the age of 35. In St. Croix, we had 10 individuals killed by gunshot. 9 are under the age of 35. 9.
Now more than ever, Potter said the community needs to say something when they see something and prevent the worsening gun violence from becoming the new normal for the territory. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
According to the Lieutenant Governor, he has also reached out to organizations such as the Smith Bay Action Group on what more these groups can do for crime prevention. Meanwhile, the local police force is also mourning the shooting deaths of their brothers in uniform. In response, they're working on community-oriented policing, showing more presence in different neighborhoods. Top officials are also urging their officers on the ground to be more vigilant. News 2's April Knight has that story.
The local police department is feeling the blow of the devastating week in the mainland that saw 2 black men killed by police and 5 police officers killed by a sniper in Dallas.
It's a sad day when anyone attacks police officers. Violence and incidents anywhere in the world affects us locally. As you said, social media, it's out there.
Acting St. Thomas Police Chief Jason Marsh said that fortunately, racially influenced police-civilian interaction is not a significant concern in the territory.
I say thank God we don't have to worry about racial issues here in the islands as much as they do stateside.
But there is the issue of public trust in the VIPD in general, which police say they're trying to alleviate through community-oriented policing. On Monday, VIPD Sergeant Bridget Cano shared this photo of a training for new recruits that emphasized community and problem-solving oriented policing, with police officers around the nation now experiencing scrutiny and even open hostility. Marsh said he does not think local residents will take drastic actions against the police.
The fear of the residents reacting like that, they thank God that we have not seen that kind of reaction from our local residents.
And while local officers do get trained on active shooter situations, he's asking all of them to be on their guard.
An ambush is a tough situation to be in. An ambush is just that, an ambush. There's not much you can do but try to react appropriately. There can always be more training. Training to don't just train once and that's it.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And we took to the streets to hear from individuals. Here's more.
I think the one thing that really disturbed me about what's happened lately is when I heard that the nation of the Bahamas was issuing travel advisory to its young nationals, males, and telling them that they have to be careful when they go to the United States, when they encounter police officers. I wonder if the people in the United States who are in power and influence understand how serious that is.
So I worked for the Atlanta Police Department. I first started off as a cadet, and then I basically went into training to become an officer. They trained me on how to handle situations when you interact with civilians, what you should do and how you shouldn't stereotype, and all those things are things that they teach you when you come out of there. I think it's just the people that they put behind the badge. I don't think it was like a lack of training. I think it's all about the individual, and when you pick someone to have that much power and to have that badge, you have to be very careful. You can't just have anybody. I feel like there needs to be a lot more involved, and you need to know a lot more about a person.
Well, for days, the news revolved around that horrific details of the Dallas slayings. But this afternoon, the focus was on these 5 people: Brent Thompson, Lauren Aarons, Patrick Zamaripa, and Michael Kroll and Michael Smith, the men in blue who lost their lives keeping watch over what has been a peaceful protest during the interfaith service. President Obama, Vice President Biden, former President George W. Bush, and their wives stood together to honor the officers killed. Dan Gallagher is in Dallas with more on that vigil.
In a crowded room, it was painfully obvious to notice what was missing. 5 chairs empty, except for a folded American flag, the chairs representing the 5 police officers killed while protecting protesters.
The shock of this evil still has not faded. These slain officers were the best among us.
As the Dallas Police Choir sang the Star-Spangled Banner, the President and First Lady stood shoulder to shoulder with former President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush, their hands to their hearts and partisan politics cast aside, their focus on the slain officers and the families they left behind.
Too often we judge other groups by their worst examples, while judging ourselves by our best intentions.
The pain we feel may not soon pass, but my faith tells me that they did not die in vain. I believe our sorrow can make us a better country. I believe our righteous anger can be transformed into more justice and more peace.
In Dallas, I'm Diane Gallagher.
Now, leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement have condemned that Dallas shooting. Protests continue around the nation on the shootings of Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge and Philando Castile in Falcon Heights in Minnesota. Family members of both men also condemned the shooting deaths of the 5 Dallas police officers. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers there, we can see everything up. The Dow 120, NASDAQ 34, S&P 500 also up at 14. Coming up on News 2, everywhere you look, it seems someone is playing the new Pokemon Go game. What that rage is all about, who is getting involved, and why safety is also a constant reminder. Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter just came back from a National Lieutenant Governors Association conference in Michigan. He successfully secured a bid for the Virgin Islands to host one of the NLGA's meetings next year in November. He says the territory stands to gain a lot from the conference.
Exposure, number 1, and networking, number 2, and getting these individuals who are in the political arena sensitive to where we are and what we do. Some of these individuals will be going on to be governors of their state, in the future, I'm pretty sure, and then would have further political interest. So it exposes them from now to the Virgin Islands, and we share in thoughts and ideas.
State Director of the State Office of Special Education, Renee Charleswell, announces that the results of the 7th Annual Parental Satisfaction Survey are in. Public presentations and discussions of the results are scheduled for Wednesday, July 27th at UVI's Great Hall on St. Croix and Thursday, July 28th in the St. Thomas St. John District, also at UVI's Administration and Conference Room building, and that's room 142, the ACC building, from 6 to 8, both events. In both districts, they're open to the public. The objective of the survey was to collect and accurately report trend data in one of the 17 indicators in the State Performance Plan and Annual Performance Report. The Entrepreneur Business Institute, or EBI, summer program wrapped up at UVI on St. Thomas, and we shared, the early participation information for that. Some 30 students from public and private schools received their certificates and awards in the presence of family and friends. These students had the opportunity to experience a curriculum that taught them business innovation and entrepreneurship. They formulated business plans, attended business-related field trips, and received mentorship from key UVI professors, as well as many successful entrepreneurs throughout the territory. Congratulations to all the EBI graduates. Well, everywhere you look, it seems someone is playing the new Pokemon Go game now that it's summer especially, and the Pokemon characters have been spotted in the Skyline area here on St. Thomas, and even grocery stores all over landmarks, just to name a few. And it's not just youngsters and video game fanatics catching that Pokemon fever. As Susan Campbell found out, even a police officer in Massachusetts was spotted getting into the game. Here's more.
Fall River police officer Jonathan Estrella was on patrol Sunday when he noticed a group of people on their phones. He could tell right away they were playing Pokemon Go.
Got him.
The virtual scavenger hunt game that's gone viral in less than a week. Officer Estrella decided to join them.
They're actually impressed that a police officer would even know what it is.
The moment was captured on camera and posted to Twitter. It's been retweeted more than 1,000 times.
Things like this kind of bridge a gap that's there between the police and the community. They were able to talk about a common subject, and it kind of just broke all barriers between them.
Detective Nelson Souza handles most of the department's social media posts. He says Officer Estrella didn't even realize the photos had been snapped.
I think it's important right now that there is more community police involvement with each other and communication, so that way some of the fears and misconceptions could be lessened.
Now, police are urging people playing the game to use common sense. They say you shouldn't trespass on private property, walk into traffic, or go searching for characters late at night in unsafe areas. Well, as we reported, Tim Duncan has retired. More in sports coming up after the weather. We'll be right back.
Well, we are looking at quiet conditions for the Virgin Islands. We still have a dry pocket of air just pressing into the region. So that is going to lead to sunshine as we remain throughout today and into tomorrow as well. Current satellite really reflecting the quiet skies. Other than a few shades of gray, really not too much to see. Now, into the overnight period, we'll stay partly cloudy. Could be looking at a very isolated chance for a shower. Our overnight low stays right at the 80 mark. And for tomorrow, in St. John, temperatures in the upper 80s. And you know the drill. It's pretty typical for this time of year. We could be talking an isolated shower chance, but for the most part, I think it's going to be on the dry side through the majority of the day. Into St. Thomas, also a similar setup here. Plenty of sunshine, afternoon, better chance to see a shower, but it'll be hit or miss, quickly in, quickly out, and our daytime high of 89. In St. Croix, also looking at a similar forecast, temperature of 89 for tomorrow, sunny skies and a few showers in some places. Not everyone going to see a shower, though, into tomorrow. For our marine forecast on the Atlantic-facing coastline, our waves are between 3 to 5 feet, really not too much of a change from yesterday. Our winds are out of the east between 15 or 10 to 15 knots. On the Caribbean-facing side, waves are between 3 to 6 feet and winds are still out of the east between 10 to 15 knots as well. So if you're operating a small craft, could exercise a bit of caution, but boating conditions looking pretty nice, and especially as we head into Thursday, plenty of bright sunshine, temperature of 89, also going to be staying in the upper 80s for Friday, and a stray shower will be possible. Hit or miss showers coming in on Saturday and then on Sunday, so over the next few days will be relatively quiet. Better chance to see some of those showers push in for the later half of the week and the upcoming weekend, with overnight lows staying in the 80s. Sandy, back to you.
Thanks for that. It's time for our News 2 weather picture there by Turan Oranger, representing St. Croix there, 8 years of age, from the Ricardo Richards Elementary School. Some fishing, some camping, heading to the beach, fun in the sun. That is what summer fun is all about. And with our overall beautiful weather, we can expect a lot of that for now. Turan, thank you for that. Send us your weather picture to News 2, Innovative Business Center, 4611 Tutu Park, Suite 300, St. Thomas VI 00802. Be sure to stick around. News 2 Sports is coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. Yes, it's official. St. Croix's native son, Tim Duncan, has announced his retirement after 19 seasons with the San Antonio Spurs. An alumnus of what was then Country Day School, Tim didn't start playing hoops until his freshman year in high school. Now, after 19 years of playing the game at its highest level, he's considered by many to be the greatest power forward ever to play the game. How great was he? Well, let's drop a few numbers on you. He scored more than 26,000 points. He grabbed more than 15,000 rebounds. He had more than 3,000 block shots. He played in 251 playoff games where he averaged more than 20 points per game while grabbing 11 rebounds and 2 block shots. Wait, there's more. He's a 5-time NBA champion, a 15-time All-Star, a 2-time NBA MVP, a 3-time Finals MVP. He has over 1,000 regular season victories, all for one team. He was the Rookie of the Year, and the Spurs made the playoffs every year he played. To put that feat into perspective, let's take a look at some of pop culture number ones when he was drafted back on June 25th, 1997. The number 1 album, it was the Wu-Tang Clan. The number 1 single, Puff Daddy, I'll Be Missing You. The number 1 movie, Batman and Robin. Seriously. And the number 1 TV show, Seinfeld. Congratulations, Tim. And when you're at that Hall of Fame podium in 2020, all of the U.S. Virgin Islands will be there with you.
You know, obviously Tim was a great role model on and off the floor. Never got himself in any problems. Always handled difficult situations the right way. Played the game the right way, as cliche as that sounds. That's what he did. And, you know, I'm very proud. You know, I actually saw him last night, and he seems to be content with his decision. It's been a long time. 19 years is a long time. To put it in perspective, when he started in the NBA, Kawhi Leonard was 6 years old. So he made sacrifices for the team. That's something that you don't see in today's modern era. And I saw a post somewhere, you know, where they were saying thank you to Tim for being that person that Virgin Islanders, young Virgin Islanders could look up to, not necessarily in terms of what he came back and did, but what he went away and did. And that they saw it being done, and they knew they could do great things for themselves in their respective fields. And I think that's what Tim means to the Virgin Islands. In 2014, he donated almost $250,000 to our community. Last year, he won the Best Teammate award in the NBA, and he chose to give all his donations to Virgin Islands organizations. And those are things that Tim's been doing consistently. There won't be another Tim Duncan. I mean, what he did, our greatest of all time stamp don't come easy. He did it in the premier basketball league in the world, and certainly something for the entire Virgin Islands to be proud of.
The 2016 Summer Olympic Games in Rio are right around the corner. The opening ceremonies are on August 5th. And 7 Virgin Island athletes will represent and compete on the world's biggest stage. McDonald's, Virgin Islands, and the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee have announced a partnership where McDonald's will sponsor the uniforms the VI Olympic team and delegates will wear during the opening ceremony.
I want to thank McDonald's for this partnership that they're doing with us, and I would like to see other businesses follow in their footsteps in supporting our athletes, and not only today but for the future and the future generations to come.
That's it for sports. Sandy, back to you.
Thanks for that, Gary. Job well done with Tim Duncan and the VI athletes. Good job, the VI Olympic Committee there. Nice donation. That is all for this edition of News 2. We'd like to thank you for joining us. For all the latest, I'm Sandra Guman Singh. We will see you next time.